This mandate, HHS mandate, is so offensive and so coercive that it resembles similar actions that totalitarian regimes have used in the past. I myself lived for 5 years in what was then the Soviet Union. I know what a government looks like when they try and control religious freedom. I don't like it. I lived with it once. I don't want to live with it again.
I think it's a pivotal time in our country because it's a time for Catholics and all believers to stand up for what we have always believed in this country.
I'm a Catholic, I'm an American, and I am a woman. And I think that it is utterly outrageous that they are trying to make this about women, about our health, about us being denied contraception. And the church has always cared deeply about women, about our health, and about our well-being.
This mandate is not about contraception, no matter how hard this administration and the media is trying to make it about contraception. The pill has been legal for decades now, and the church or other religiously affiliated institutions have never had to provide for contraception or sterilization or abortion-inducing drugs, and women who decide that that's what they want have been able to obtain it, whether it's from non-religious clinics and government-run clinics or whatever. And this is something that is very important because suddenly now there's a war on women, like as if this is something that, oh my gosh, the roof is falling because the church is trying to outlaw contraception. There's nothing further from the truth.
I do believe that people are trying to distract from what this HHS mandate is really about by saying that it's about women's health, when it is really a violation of our First Amendment rights and really an attack on what it means to be an American.
Religious freedom is a hallmark of the United States of America. This very country was founded on this principle. And so to think the very government that should represent this ideals would in some way compromise that freedom by asking us to do something that is so contrary to our faith is shocking.
The idea of religious freedom is not simply the idea to worship, but it's also the idea to cooperate, to collaborate, to be Christ-like, to imitate Christ.
The HHS mandate is threatening the ability of wonderful organizations that are Catholic, that are Protestant, that are of any faith, to do good work that they have been called to do.
I think, as the bishops have stated, Catholic institutions are at risk, souls are at risk, but, and possibly most importantly, the common good is at risk. We won't have a rich, caring, loving country with freedom and choices if this mandate is put into effect.
It's really allowing the government to redefine what our religious freedom is.
I think the HHS mandate is egregious enough, but it also then begs the question, what next? Is it possible that if this thing is allowed to stand, it could lead to even a greater affront on religious freedom and other types of freedoms in our nation?
When one freedom becomes uprooted by a government, the public has every reason to fear what can come next. If this mandate stands, it will set a precedent that the next generation must live with. And with the First Amendment being so callously disregarded, we must ask, will they have the ability, that is, future generations, your children, your grandchildren, will they have the ability to rally together at all?
I think the most important thing that we can do as Catholics is, first of all, to pray for the people who are in office right now, for them to have wisdom, to pray for our priests, to pray for each other, and for men and women of all faith, to have courage.
As a woman, I think it's very important to educate others and women to women speak to each other about how this isn't, a war on women and what this issue is really all about.
There are really three things that we need to do. We need to educate ourselves, become aware of it. We need to pray and fast and do all of those things spiritually that will allow us then to move forward in action and basically do God's will. and to make people know what our positions are, and to let the government know that this is something that is not fair to Catholics, not fair to any American.